Welcome back, everyone. Today, our topic for the NMLS SAFE exam, the MLO exam, our topic is right to rescission. So let's go into the deep. These are notes that I have collected over my preparation, and I hope that these will be helpful for you all. So TILA is the act that deals with the right to rescission. It's primarily meant for primary residence. When you say primary residence, the owner need to reside in that home. The right to rescission comes into place in two places. One is if it's a HELOC and if it's a refinance, and it's a primary residence. So what this act enables us to, or the right enables us to do is, a borrower has 3-day time to rescind the transaction or the decision to proceed with this transaction. This right to rescission is not applicable for purchase loans, construction loans, commercial loans, vacation loans, or any second home. So any kind of investments, it's out. Any kind of purchase loans. So it's tricky in the sense when the question is being asked, everything else would look like a conventional loan, but then in the middle you would see that it's a purchase loan. That purchase loan means that you don't have the right to rescission. So that's the importance of this particular line here. So you need to understand which are the loans for which the right to rescission is not applicable. So TILA is the act that allows the borrower the right to cancel the certain transactions. So the creditor must be informed. So if they inform the consumer the right to rescind by providing 2 copies of the notice to right to rescind. So the lender or the creditor here is going to provide 2 copies. We need to provide 2 copies to each of the consumers. So let's say there are multiple borrowers here. We need to give 2 copies to each of the multiple borrowers the notice to right to rescind. They should understand what does that right mean. And if one of the borrower rescind, then again, all this transaction is cancelled and we start again. So 2 things to notice here. If there are multiple borrowers, everyone should get 2 copies. But in order for the right to rescind to happen, any one of the borrower can say that they want to rescind, and the entire transaction starts again. So this question also comes up in different forms during the exam. So we need to understand that it will be sent across. We need to give the notice 2 copies to all the borrowers, whereas even one borrower can rescind and we start from ground zero. If a borrower rescinds, the borrower is entitled to full refund, and this refund will be provided to their escrow within 20 days. So how much days do you have until the borrower, from the time the borrower rescinds, for escrow to refund that money? And would that be a partial refund or a full refund? So things to remember, it's a full refund and the escrow need to be refunded within 20 days. So now another tricky aspect about the right to rescission is the days of signing. So the day you are signing is not included in the 3 calculation. Okay, so let's say if the rescind, as a borrower, you got to know about you gave the notice on Monday. He signed the document on Monday. So we have time till Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The midnight of Thursday is when the right to, you have time till midnight of Thursday until the right to rescind decision can be made. Again, the choices will be tricky here as well. So they would give a scenario where the rescind happens on Monday. You give the notice on Monday, and what time? Is it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or midnight of Thursday? What's the accurate time for the time limit? So it's the midnight of Thursday. Okay. Another aspect about the right to rescind is Saturdays are included in the rescission period, but Sundays and federal holidays are not included. So the question that's been asked could have an example where the you gave the notice on Saturday, or let's say you gave the notice on Friday. So you need to take Saturday into calculations, but not the Sundays and federal holidays. If the consumer didn't receive the two copies of the notice of resent or the required materials, we have the consumer has been given 3 years to decide on their decision. So that's so understand the flow here, that we need to send two copies of notice of resent to the consumer. They have 3 days to decide. If we don't give that two copies, they have 3 years to decide. And if they decide within that time period, the escrow need to be refunded within 20 days. Okay. Okay, now let's move on. So we discussed TILA. TILA is the act that established the 3-day right of rescission law. It's applicable for HELOC and refinance. The right to rescission applies on owner-occupied refinance transactions. So it's all owner-occupied. It's not for any investment properties. It's not for any commercial properties. It's owner-occupied refinance transactions. So the funds, typically, given that you have time till 3 days to decide, the funds are held until the right of rescission expires. So until the 3 days is closed, that's when the funds, until then the funds are being held. If a borrower uses their right to rescind, what does that mean? That means that the refinance transaction is cancelled. The creditor is required to return any money or the property or take any action that shows the transaction has cancelled within 20 calendar days from the after the borrower remits a rescission notice. And then again, we discussed that it's only applicable for owner-occupied refinance transactions. If the required rescission notice is not provided to the borrower, or if there are errors in the disclosure, the borrower's right to rescind expires 3 years after the closing. The transfer of the interest in the property or sale, whichever occupies first. The borrower must notify the creditor of their wish to rescind the loan before midnight on the third business day, including Saturdays and excluding Sundays and holidays after the signing the document. Receiving the right to rescind or delivery of all disclosures, whichever comes last. Again, TILA requires 2 copies of the right to rescind notice, and that must be provided to the borrower along with the 1 copy of the disclosure statement. So when we sent the copies of the rescind, we sent 1 copy of the disclosure statement as well. So the question here would be, the Truth in Lending Act requires that a borrower be given how many copies of the notice of his right to rescind? 2 copies. And if there are multiple borrowers, the question would say that there are 3 borrowers in a transaction, and as per the TILA Act, how many copies of notice do we have to of his right to rescind need to be given? So if there are 3 borrowers, it's 3 into 2, 6. Out of these 3 borrowers, if one of the borrowers comes back with the right to rescission or going ahead with the right to rescission, that means the entire transaction is cancelled. So these are the main points specific to right to rescission. During the exam, at least two questions was there on this particular topic itself, and this is a really easy one to knock it off. I hope this was helpful. If you are looking for the study materials that I used, these are available in the description below. For more of these videos, please like, share, and comment so I know that these are being appreciated and I can share more. Thank you.